Kia ora koutou, ko Barry Milne taku ingoa. I'm the director of the Compass Research Centre at the University of Auckland. And this, wow, was it the 15th annual colloquium that we've had? I think I joined it first when we had the 6th or 7th or something like that. So this is a day of talks that we put on every year. 2 people in Wellington who may come from policy or other places, showcasing the research that we do at Compass. And so we've got 6 talks today showcasing that research across different projects. And this little 15-minute blurb at the start will just talk you a little bit through what Compass does and the types of things that we're working on, some of which you'll hear about today and some of which you won't. Okay, so after I finish this intro, I'm going to pass over to Alice Mills and Anika Terry, who are going to be talking about a project that's coming, well, it's in its 3rd year, towards the end of its 3rd year now, funded by Marsden, looking at whether housing for prisoners who've recently been released impacts their likelihood of recidivism. I'm going to talk after that a project that's funded by the 3 health national science challenges about the impact of chronic conditions, not on the individual themselves, but on the wider family. Then we've got 2 shorter talks by Natalia Boven, who's going to be talking about the best way to measure family socioeconomic position, given structures of families. And Eileen Lee, who's going to be talking about work that she's just starting on with her PhD, looking at linkage error in the IDI and what can be done about it. And then Comey, I should point to these people out. Natalia there, Eileen at the back, Comey is right over there, and Alice beside Anika there. Comey's going to be talking about how news coverage of complex science can be improved through journalists and scientists working together and what they think the barriers are. And then we'll finish off with Lara here, who's going to be talking about a project that she said funded from the HRC that I've got a small role on and Eileen's working on as well, talking about the Māori in between, Māori who don't have close connections to their iwi or other aspects of Te Ao Māori, talking about identity, health and social service access needs. And then we'll finish up about 1. Okay. Right, so I thought now, once I can shift a slide, I'll talk about who we are at Compass. Many of the people are here, but some are not. So as I mentioned before, I'm the director. Nicola Shackleton's the deputy director. She works part-time for Compass and also part-time for the Social Wellbeing Agency, and will soon be going on maternity leave. Got 2 senior research fellows, Roy and Lisa, neither of whom are here, but they're working on different projects. Roy on the loneliness project and Lisa on the chronic conditions project that I'll talk about. Steph D'Souza, who's the only one we've got who's a lecturer, actually employed as a lecturer as opposed to a research fellow. And she works across a number of projects. And Comey, who's a research fellow, Offa here is a research fellow, and she's working on the chronic disease project that I'm going to be talking about shortly. And a couple of data analysts, Martin von Randau, who you probably heard from when you were booking this event, and Eileen, who works as a data analyst part-time and doing a PhD full-time. And then as well as Eileen, Natalia is a PhD student, Anika is a master's student, and Liza is finishing off her PhD whilst having a job in lockdown in Toronto in Canada, working as a statistics lecturer. Okay, right. So I'll go through the active research projects that we have at Compass. What I used to do is show the different types of work we do and give examples of that. But I thought it was interesting just to show the type of different things that we're doing and the type of different methodologies, I suppose you'll say, that we use. A lot of it's based on the integrated data infrastructure, so using Stats New Zealand whole population data, but not all of it is. So that first, I've gone sort of reverse order from when they finish. And some of them we lead and some of them we partner with other people. So myself and Steph work with Jane Harding at the Faculty of Medical and Health Sciences, Dame Jane Harding at the Faculty of Medical and Health Sciences, and she and others there have undertaken a number of perinatal interventions. They want to do long-term follow-up to see if they've had negative impacts on the children who went through these interventions. And for that, we are looking and working slowly towards doing some data linkage to those data. Then a project we've got funded by the Rockwell Foundation in Denmark. Senior Huld Andersen is the person there at the Rockwell Foundation, looking at whether people who use lots of services have different types of outcomes. So what one paper we're working on now is looking at deaths of despair in relation to high service use in the years prior to that. The next one after that, and that's based on IDI data here and equivalent data in Denmark, so it's a comparison study. The one after that is just getting underway, and that's been led by Steph D'Souza using the integrated data infrastructure to look at the health impacts of playing rugby. What the New Zealand Rugby Union has done is provided a player database that has been linked in with the integrated data infrastructure such that we can follow people and compare them against a match comparison group. We've also got a cohort of referees in there which might make a nice match comparison to see what health impacts there might be, focusing on not just dementia that might result from concussion, for instance, but other things as well. Te Hau Nui got underway, creating a Māori longitudinal study. That's work with Andrew Spall using IDI data and also the New Zealand longitudinal census, which, thank you to Stats New Zealand, is now or is about to be integrated with the integrated data infrastructure, which I think is going to be really handy. Supporting policy research in the social sciences, that's a postdoc that was awarded to Comey, and she's going to be working with us on survey data, and shortly I'll describe one of the main surveys that we work with. The next one there, life course impact of chronic health conditions, funded by MB. That's a project I'm going to talk about shortly. The Māori in Between, Lara's project, she'll talk about at the end. Informatics for Social Services and Wellbeing Data New Zealand. That's led by Colin Simpson at University of Victoria. Andrew Spall and myself are involved as well. SWA with Mariana is involved as well. And we're looking to do lots of different little things really to improve data and the use of data, mostly whole population data, they're not necessarily in New Zealand. Te Ao Marama, Disability Perspectives, that's led by Bernadette Jones at the University of Otago. We're just finalising a survey to go into the field, let's go admit people, sorry, going to the field the last quarter of this year to look at the experiences of Māori who have disability and also look to, hopefully, if we can get prevalence estimates. Loneliness across the life course, I'm the PI on that, but Roy Leahy is working on that a little bit. We just got a paper published looking at the extent to which social isolation, rather than loneliness actually, persisted across from children through to adults. And there was mostly children grow out of it, and most of the people who are isolated in adulthood weren't isolated as children. We know a few other things there. One of the big projects that we're not going to talk about this time, actually, we've talked about the last 2 or 3 times, is the Better Start National Science Challenge. I lead a team there looking at big data aspects, and by big data we mean whole population data, in relation to the 3 main themes of Better Start, which are healthy weight, successful learning, and resilient teens. Building a sustainable budgeting strategy for New Zealand, that's work with Jen Curtin at the University of Auckland, using IDI to get various wellbeing indicators and comparing them by gender. And then what you're going to be hearing about very shortly, Going Straight Home, with Alice Mills as the PI, and that was based on face-to-face interviews of quantitative data, as well as some qualitative interviews to look at the experiences of prisoners leaving prison and their housing and whether that impacts their recidivism. Okay, that's an active one, so we've got quite a few things going on at the moment. Just before I finish, I'll talk a little bit about the survey research that we do. One thing that Comey is going to be working on is the International Social Survey Program, which, what is it? It's a survey program on social science topics, where the topic changes every year. You can see the topics over the last 10 years, including the one that's getting underway next year. Each country runs them, and these repeat on around about a 10-year cycle, so you can look at how attitudes in a country has changed over time and how it compares with other countries. There's about 45 countries in the world, with a kind of, a very much a Europe bias in terms of the countries that are involved. But New Zealand, Australia, Japan, China, other countries from the Asia Pacific are involved. In 2023, they're combining the National Identity and Citizenship Survey, and then they've got Digital Society, I think is going to be a new topic for 2024. New Zealand Election Survey, Lara's heavily involved with, and we've done Lara, you mostly did this year, didn't you, or last year, the operations for that, but that was originally led by Jack Vowles of Victoria University, and others have been involved as well. And I mentioned about the Te Ao Marama survey that we're just going to get underway, and we're also in discussion with Ngāti Hawa about running a Papakainga survey about the housing needs of their iwi, and that's in the discussions. Well, we're getting things arranged now in terms of what the survey content is. So that's kind of what we do in terms of research. We also, man, you can't see that, but on the back of your, if you've got a flyer, I think on the back of the flyer, it's got a list of the courses that we put on every November and February. It's part of the New Zealand Social Statistics Network. So these are short courses that go from 1 day to 5 days on specific social science topics. We run one on using the IDI, for instance, and we run one on SQL. That's very IDI focused, but not, it's wider than that as well. As well as various ones on program evaluation and qualitative methodology and that sort of thing. So that's the other thing we do twice a year. And again, Martin, who you would have heard from, he is the contact person for that. Other than that, that's kind of us.